Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily commodity update. We'll look at the dollar, 10-year yield, and a bunch of different commodities and precious metals. And I'll give you my financial opinion on which way I think they're going to be heading in the short term. Again, the short term is the least reliable. Sometimes I look at the big picture. That's the stuff that I really like. Big picture view, I still think that everything is positive. We're just in a short-term pullback. How long will it last? No one knows for sure, but I can tell you we have inflation in the system. We have increasing interest rates. We've been getting dragged down with recession fears. People are very fearful at this time in the market. But I think that the big drivers, the fundamental drivers, they're still in place. We're just slowing down in some of those drivers. And I'm not talking about the CPI. That's not slowing down. That's been actually going up quite dramatically. But we've had a slowdown in oil, in natural gas. It's kind of pulled back. And I view these as buying opportunities. That's just the way that I view this stuff. So let's look at the charts. I'll give you a quick rundown, and I'll give you my financial opinion here. So let's dive in. This is DXY. Again, this is something that we just go over. We're right at resistance. That white resistance line that we're at is this upper channel that goes across here. We're trying to break through it. That is where we're at, and we've got a wick where we basically hit our head on that resistance. Are we going to ricochet lower, or are we going to continue higher? That's the question. The dollar's been ultra strong here recently, much like when the dot-com bubble turned over and was heading lower. We saw strength there as well during that time frame. That's this portion up here. It turned in February of 2002. So basically, we had a crash in the stock market. The dollar increased, and then in terms not overall dollar, the DXY increased, and then we headed lower. And I think that's the same exact thing that we're doing here. Is we're going to head higher at some point when the markets relax a little bit. I think the DXY will head lower. The 10-year yield continues its march on upward, 2.959%, 1.86. We're at this resistance line in the white line there. We can zoom in. We are still below that line at this moment, but we took a little run at it, bounced back a little bit, and we'll see what happens the next couple of days. I do think that this will eventually head higher. It seems like the Federal Reserve wants to implement more interest rate hikes. And I'll show you a couple of cool things with the 10-year yield and how it correlates with oil. Looking at gold, actually, I'll go to the CRB index. CRB index still getting some selling pressure. We still have these large down candlesticks, not much buying pressure throughout. So we could still head lower in the CRB index from a very high point. This was a wave 1. This will be our wave 2. And then at some point, we will turn and make a wave 3 at some point. But that's what we've got going on there. Gold heading a little bit lower here. Let's throw the 1 year up there. We headed lower. We do have a little wick at the bottom. Is this a bottom? It's too early to say. I would kind of be just sitting here watching at this point. But gold's been taking some lickings to the downside. These are elongated, larger candlesticks, not much buying pressure. So the sellers are still in control at this time. Silver also heading lower, down to $18.4 per ounce. We did bounce off that support line about 18.16. This is what it looks like. We've got strong support in this vicinity that we are entering right now. Will that support hold? Well, we'll find out here in the next trading days what happens there. Platinum getting in a little hammer candlestick. Hammer candlesticks are usually reversal candlesticks for a move higher. So platinum is holding on at this time. It's had a pretty big pullback. I like it down here, guys. That's my opinion of platinum. I am a little bit of a physical platinum guy, but, let's get physical, right? The song, at least. XAU to gold ratio looks like we're trying to put in a little bit of a hammer candlestick. That's usually a reversal candlestick. It doesn't mean that it will, it might be a little pop higher and then maybe it heads lower again because we have not broken the overall downtrend here. But we should see a pop higher the next day or two. Looking at GDX, still pulling back. We gapped lower in the morning and then it basically held flat. Looking at SILJ on the dailies here, and we're still in a downtrend, guys. This is still in a downtrend. I haven't seen a reversal candlestick yet. We gapped lower, but the momentum was coming back up. That's a good thing. Yes, it was down 4.19%. We gapped down, but at least it traveled down and came back up throughout the day. Momentum's heading back up in the short term. But we need the buyers to come in here and break this downtrend. We are still in a downtrend, and it is not broken. Moving on down, we're looking at crude oil. Crude oil, lots of weird activity coming in crude oil. We've had these monster sell days here. These two here. We have not had a monster up day yet. I don't think the momentum shifted yet. And we've got a big hammer pattern candlestick today. That means that it tried to sell off. Buyers came in and bought it back up. So is this a reversal candlestick where we move higher? I'm not going to try to make that prediction, guys. We need to see the buyers step in here and show us that they're here. And they're going to have to do it in a big way to overcome these large momentum down days here. Natural gas, basically flat today. Coming up to a little bit of resistance through here. We'd like to break higher. We better do it now. Otherwise, we might see some more consolidation. But that's what I see there. XOP, you know me. Backing out, there's our fractal that I always see. Is this fractal done? Difficult to say. We got a little hammer candlestick there. It doesn't look bad. If the buyers could come in here and push this higher at any second, one thing that I'll be looking for is, are we going to get, something like that where we get a little bit more of, pull up and then another down sell off. What I do is I just kind of sprinkle in a little bit in some of these areas. It's just what I do. And timing this is sometimes a beast, but I play the big, long-term, big picture view. That's XOP. Scrolling down, the energy service companies, very similar. We're getting a little bit more of a sell-off. It gapped lower in the morning, created a little hammer candlestick. The momentum's heading up throughout the day, but we're still in this large momentum downtrend line. So we got to see the buyer step in here if we want to turn. I have not seen that clear signal yet. Coming on down, looking at uranium's at 46.45. What I like about this here is we're basically chopping sideways. We've come on down. We're chopping sideways. Are we going to head lower here or break higher? We'll find out. I would say, a lot of people are going to say, well, give me an opinion. Guys, I don't really have an opinion here. It doesn't matter which way this thing breaks. I'm in it for this long-term move. If it breaks lower, I'm buying more. And it could break lower here down to maybe $39 or 30-something dollars here. That is a possibility. It does look like that. But looking at the companies, Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, we're getting big bullish engulfings today, which is a reversal pattern to move higher in the short term. So the buyers are lining this up to go higher, at least in the short term. We'll see how successful they are at pushing it higher. URNM is also throwing a big bullish engulfing here. We also have a slowdown of the momentum where we're grinding sideways. That's a good thing. I think we do have a good chance of heading higher here to the upside in the short term. It looks good. And some of the individual companies also have some buying pressure on support, like Camco. So that looks good. And you could look at even some of these other companies. They're also getting some bullish engulfings in there as well. So the sector looks like it's trying to turn around with some of the companies. Now we got to see the buyers come in here and show us what they can do. Here's base load. I was just going to look at base load here. Base load's getting some buying pressure too. It looks like we're trying. We're trying across the board. Tan just moving sideways. A little hammer candlestick there. Looking at Copper, or COPX, this is still in a downtrend. It is contracting in the size of its moves here. They are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So that looks like it wants to try to turn and move on up at some point, but we're not ready yet. This has had a pretty big A, B, C correction. And I think a lot of the companies in oil and whatnot are at this stage where we could pull up, but then I'm worried about we could head back lower like this. So I'd almost say that this is almost progressed further than some of the other companies. Coming on down, platinum looks really strong. The platinum to gold ratio heading higher, platinum to palladium ratio heading higher, and platinum to silver heading higher. And that looks like it's trying to break out here, coming out of this pattern here. Platinum doesn't look too bad. Gold to silver ratio still heading higher in favor of gold. Dow Jones to gold ratio, zoom in on it. We're still within this pattern. It looks like it's trying to break to the upside here at any second. Copper, it's still, it's sold off quite a bit. We're trying to find a bottom somewhere. Hasn't found it yet. At least I don't think it has. Lithium moving sideways. REMX basically at that support, the bottom of the support zone, right at it right now. Lithium heading a little bit higher. Nice, good bullish engulfing. That usually means it heads higher. Doesn't tell us the duration or the time frame of this, but it is heading higher, and we'll see if the buyers can continue that pressure. Coming on down, S&P 500 moving sideways. It looks like we're trying to put some sort of base or bottom in, but the buyers have to break this downtrend line, so still bearish. The U.S. Composite Index is breaking that downtrend. Can we hold and move on higher? We've got lots of kind of selling pressure all through these past few months. People are getting pretty bearish all over the place. I am still bearish on this. I don't see a turn. Same with the long-term SPX, which is the S&P 500. We got these large down candlesticks. I don't see a turn yet. So I'm going to remain bearish. XHB, we're coming on down. It looks like we're trying to put in a little bit of a bottom here. We got to break this downtrend line and get moving to the upside if we want to put in a bottom. It's not there yet. Looking at lumber still just pulling back a little bit. We've got nickel moving sideways. That thing's been basically master manipulated out. Palladium moving back lower, just like the rest of the crew. Cocoa futures heading lower with some good volume there. Wheat heading lower with a good strong closing to the downside. Soybeans chopping sideways, but these got some large down candlesticks. Still looks bearish to me. And then corn's just holding on, trying to move sideways at this time, but I do think we could see another downside movement out of it. Scrolling on down, let me see if they updated the PPI here. Yeah, June of 2022. This thing is rapidly going higher for the PPI, Producer Price Index, all commodities. Very large move higher there. We'll probably see that transfer into the Consumer Price Index as this thing rockets higher. MU, which is an agricultural, still in a downtrend, getting a little bit of a hammer candlestick, but again, too much downside momentum for me to be jumping on that train quite yet. Aluminum looking like it's trying to firm up here. It's trying to put in a short-term bottom. We'll see if they're successful at doing that. It's going to take some time. Baltic Dry Index basically moving sideways. So that's what I've got for today. Again, getting some selling pressure across the board in precious metals. Dollar is still strong, but we hit our resistance, or head on that resistance there. Oil looks like could be putting in a short-term bottom to try to move higher. It is a hammer candlestick. Those are usually short-term indicators to move and bounce higher. The companies, in terms of oil and natural gas, still look like they need some time to recover. We still have a lot of momentum to the downside. I'd say that for most commodities. So it's still downside momentum. We're trying to work it off. We're getting smaller candlesticks. We're starting to come to points of anywhere. I think uranium probably looks the best. We're starting to see some bullish engulfing candlesticks where we could potentially head higher in the short term, at least. And we need the buyers to step in and be sustaining on that. So that's where we're at right now. If you guys like this type of analysis, give me a thumbs up. If you want more of my work, in the description link, that's the Finding Value website. You can sign up for the Platinum membership and get you a bunch of financial education, technical charting, and our videos are all accessible through the website. But that's what I've got for today, guys. We'll catch you later. This is Finding Value.